If your offense is catalyzed or the thing that makes your primary weapon in your offense is dribble penetration, that's what we're talking about today. So when a player is driving the ball, that might be off of just attacked off the dribble. It could be they used a ball screen. It could be they're coming out of a dribble handoff. At that moment, a player is driving the ball. And how do we turn that good thing? The player is on the attack. He's trying to use an advantage or get by his guy and attack the rim. What can we do to enhance that? And not just enhance that, but what can we do to make sure that when a player is doing a good thing, attacking the basket, we don't off the ball do a bad thing and sabotage our own teammate?
Let's go ahead and jump into the first one here. Headlights and taillights. What does that mean? And then what does that look like out on the floor?
Okay, quick review. Remember, what we're talking about today is the moment a player is driving the ball. This could be two rejecting a ball screen. It could be two getting a dribble handoff and attacking or something like that. Whatever led to this attack is not really relevant as much as a driver is on the attack. And at that moment, what I want is player driving the ball is aware of or almost certain of where his teammates are going to be while they're driving the ball. And one of the rules, if you will, that I like and try to help coaches install with their teams is when a player is driving the ball, we want to get a player in the headlights and the tail lights of the driver. So imagine the driver is in a vehicle that has a car with headlights and taillights, and you can see that in frame one as he sees player 3 fading to the corner in front of him, and player 1, he doesn't see them, but he knows they're there in his taillights. So should that drive get cut off and they stop and pivot, they know instinctively that a player, the next man over from the drive, is filling into the taillights. So one thing that I like to do when I watch a team play or help a coach or my own teams would be when we drove the ball, that's something very objective. We can say, okay, we got you in the taillights, but you should have cut over in behind this guy and you didn't give him that outlet behind him. We want to build the habit of knowing where all 4 of our teammates are going when we drive the ball. Where are they? And 2 of them, headlights and taillights.
All right, so first one there, headlights and taillights. Even using, by the way, those cues will help players. Where do I need to get? They all understand car, headlights, taillights. Something that simple is a great terminology teaching cue. Second concept to teach here, no consecutive drives.
Yeah, this one's sort of negative framed. So meaning it's like a rule, like a don't, do's and don'ts. This is a don't. You could phrase that differently. The way it's explained today would be just to avoid making consecutive drives. And this one is I found something that's really new to a lot of coaches, and I've experienced some coaches who kind of like, why would you not do that, or what's so bad about that? And then I've talked to a few coaches who've like gone back and looked at their film after being exposed to this concept and go, you know what, like, yeah, like we do that and it's ugly and it ends up badly a lot of times. The idea is to avoid the situation you see in frame one. We got a player doing a good thing, and he or she cracks the shell of the defense, and we cause all those yellow colored defenders to collapse, to converge. We've in a sense like punctured the defense where it's shrunk down and collapsed. And we're not going to score on the drive. They successfully protected the rim from us going and dunking it or laying it up, and we kick out. Now, what happens if 2 immediately on that catch just drives it, like you see in frame 2, into the sort of reddish pink area? He's driving or she's driving right back into the clutter and everything that fell down when we collapsed the defense. All the bodies, the paint is crowded. There's not a path to the rim. They just caught it and put it right back into the floor, and they're driving kind of right back into the rubble that player one's drive created. So in lieu of no consecutive drives, you could go to the next frame. Or the video, you could see the concept of penetrate, pass, pass, where in lieu of penetrate, pass, drive it again, we want to make another pass if we don't shoot it. Now we also want to think penetrate, kick, shot. But if the shot's not there, there's a good closeout. Like you see here, this collapsed the defense. He kicks out to the corner, to the headlights of the drive, and now they move it along one more pass. And the theory behind this, Tony, is by the time we make a second pass, that collapse has expanded back out. And the second pass, that player could drive the ball, because now that collapse that the first drive created has re-expanded, and the driver after the extra pass can safely drive again. So yeah, here's another example. Collapse the defense. There's two players. He pivots, finds one, penetrate, pass. Try to pause one like right at the moment where he collapses the defense. Let's see here. It's like maybe let's get to a drive here. And you can see, okay, collapses the defense. Pause it. Okay, boom. Okay. Now pause it again at the moment on the catch when he kicks it out. So boom. If that player would have driven it again, he's driving right back. Now he makes the extra pass. Go ahead and pause it when he catches it. And you'll see that now the defense has enlarged again. And if this player didn't shoot the three, he could lift fake the guy and drive it. I've talked to coaches who've played with this concept and have found, like, you know what, that is helping us. It's helping us make extra passes, and it's helping us avoid charges, turnovers, mid-range pull-ups, because I'm driving that first pass and I pull up instead of going into the crowd. And yeah, so another way of saying it is like drive, kick, swing, or extra pass, penetrate, pass, whatever language you like. But that idea of avoiding those back-to-back drives.
Take it from a coach just like the one you explained, who I was wondering, man, we're committing extra charges. We're not getting the shots. It's becoming neutral again. And I think, to your point, the first collapse, you will find that sometimes on that first pitch, the guy closes out and he's there.
Yeah, they'll get to that one.
But if you look, it's really just that one guy who's there. There's four more guys that are there in the paint.
And they don't know who to go to. Yeah.
And even if you attack that closeout, then there's nobody to pass to, because there's just so many hands and things are taken away. And on that last clip, if people were watching, if you penetrate and kick and a guy's open, like, shoot it. But you will often find that the one more ends up giving you a chance to either shoot it or, to your point, drive it again. And this has kind of changed. And by the way, I know some coaches are going to watch and be like, no, we get drive back to back, and it gets us stuff. It'll get you stuff from time to time, depending on where you drive it. But I would really encourage you to look and see, especially if you're committing a lot of offensive fouls. The turnover, you'll cut down on turnovers by not driving twice in a row.
And I think, too, there's two other thoughts would be, one, most teams will get the first closeout. We drive and kick. They'll get someone to go to that guy. But the next one, I can always say it's always the second closeout. Like, it's always the second closeout. It either didn't come, or it's late, or we can really attack that second closeout. It's always the second closeout we want to fixate on. And two, I would offer one maybe small caveat to the skeptic who's saying, I think I'm going to stick with some back-to-back drives. I would offer this small, like, amendment to the blanket statement of no consecutive drives would be, if we go drive, kick, and you want to drive it again, show them the ball. Like that. Sometimes that extra second of a shot fake allows that defense to re-expand, right? Like, I held it that 1 second to show you the ball and get you in the air. Now I'm past you. And maybe that extra second of we collapse, now let's get back, that the shot fake took can maybe be almost like an exception to the no consecutive drive rule. So if you want to stick with it, maybe explore the idea of, like, okay, show them a shot fake. What we want to avoid is Randy drives, kicks it to Tony, and as soon as it hits Tony's hands, he just drives it right back into the rubble that I created by driving.
All right, third one here, drive opposite the catch.
This is a concept that not new. I remember talking about this when I coached long time ago. When we receive a pass, like you see in frame one passing across the top to two, we would prefer that you drive it opposite the catch. Does that make sense? If you're looking at the screen, I'm sure it does, because in frame two, I've got it illustrated. But if you're just listening, I catch the ball coming from my right, and I rip it through and drive, say, down the left lane line if we make a top-to-top pass in like a two-guard front offense. That idea of the defense was over here when the guy on the right slot had the ball, and we passed it toward the left, and I'm driving back into the teeth of the defense if I drive it back toward the direction of the pass. Instead, we talk about ripping the ball through. I taught two different transfers here. We call it transferring the ball or ripping it through, to either sweep it, which we would take it low and almost like sweep the ground with the ball and rip it through and drive, or we would swing it, which would be like maybe we caught it up near our face or our head, and I just sort of pull it over my head to the other shoulder and transfer the ball to that left side, if in this example, to drive it down that left lane line. So sweep it or swing it, doesn't, depending on context, but transfer the ball to the other side of your body and drive it away from where you caught it. The theory being, again, that the defense was over there. You're driving back into the teeth of the defense. The second theory being, if you are watching on the screen, you see the two big gray bubbles. Well, we prefer a player to attack the larger amount of space. So that's where the larger amount of space is in this particular diagram. So we want to build that habit of, hey, given the choice of the two spaces, one to my right, one to my left, I want to defer to the larger piece of real estate to attack with the dribble.
So 3 concepts there for teaching offense. This is the kind of stuff, coaches, that if you're just learning conceptual offense or wanting to improve, even hearing like phrases or asking the questions, that has, for me, as somebody who's learned it over the last 4 or 5 years and then tried to instill it, this is the stuff that's kind of like taking it to the next level. And it really helps my players I love this. I'll probably go back and listen to this again just to hear like another coach like Randy that's taught it and that understands it, like how he phrases things, how he communicates things to his players, the questions that he asks them, the concepts that you see on the screen. I think it just goes back to that. Like, we all know what good offense looks like. What are the ingredients that actually make that up? And then how do I teach that to my players? I have found is like a whole different thing. And it's the difference between like your offense actually looking like a like a true offense, and you just kind of having a bunch of random parts that the players may or may not really understand. It has accelerated the learning of my players when I'm able to just teach the concept and they grasp the concept rather than memorizing a new action based off of where they're at on the floor or what number I hold up in the air to run a different play.